Welcome to episode 2 of our weekly podcast of the week.
It's time for the weekly podcast of the week. Every week, podcasting weekly for the week.
Welcome back. If you weren't here with us last week, I'm going to share a misconception of the week. Tyler's going to share retard of the week. And then we will get British cigarette of the week from Druid. So my misconception of the week: not everything said in a group chat is believed by the person who said it. And I think most of us probably know this. Most of us who have been in group chats know this. Most young men who are in group chats know this. I think it's funny that the people who just were defending those for openly celebrating the murder of an innocent American, saying, oh, no, our jobs are immune. You can't fire us for that. For our open mockery of Charlie's death, you can't, that's a First Amendment infraction, are now demanding the resignation of people for private group chat messages that we can't even actually attribute to their true beliefs. The things you say in a group chat are often edgy, offensive, for the purpose of the humor behind, imagine if this was public. Imagine if you had said this in public. People would be obligated to react. Saying something like, I love Hitler in a group chat is offensive. And the humor, the reason it's funny, the same with the N-word when white people say it in group chats, the humor is that if this got out, it would be devastating. And that's what we're seeing. Obviously, it's not something you ever want to get out, but that's what the humor is. It's edgy humor. Right on cue, these people use these principles against us. They beat us over the head with these principles, but they don't honor it. They're interested in power. They take whatever position is convenient for them. With Charlie Kirk, they're openly mocking the death of an innocent American. This is something that if a Democrat senator or representative had said, should actually justify them being excised from your political side. You shouldn't be teaming up with people who openly and proudly say things like that. But what we're talking about here, and what the misconception is about, is that you can't attribute things that are said in private, in group chats, to be the true beliefs of the person who said it. Whether it's the white people saying the N-word, whether it's the racial jokes, whether it's virtually anything. There's a difference between a private group chat and a public statement. And these are the same people who were just First Amendment freedom fighters for the last month to openly mock and celebrate Charlie Kirk's death. And you can't fire them for that. But for private messages sent in a group chat, these people have to be excised from the right. And I also wanted to wrap this up by saying I think it's hilarious that people think that the middle of the road voter is going to look at this group chat and say, oh, I don't want to be associated with people like that. I need to go associate with the people who openly celebrated Charlie Kirk's murder.
Hey! You ever heard of Ozempic, you fat ass?
The timing of this group chat release is almost hilariously ironic because it comes right after their public speech. They were showing how they actually felt, and that's why a lot of people got fired. And now we have a private group chat where you can't actually attribute these to their true beliefs because it's said in private, it's said in a group chat. Anybody who's been in a group chat or had close friends knows that a lot of the times the humor behind something is that it's so offensive, it's so edgy. That's the humor behind it. That's why these things are said. These people have never been in a group chat or they don't have a lot of close friends.
Yeah, so as the centrist in the road, when you look at that group chat, you're like, there's some edgy jokes in there that are maybe a little bit off color. But then you look at the other side that, again, as you said, have been cheering on Charlie Kirk's death. And then we had recently Virginia's AG hopeful, Jay Jones, came out and said he wished his political opposition got shot in the head. He wished for the execution of their children. He called them Nazis. He said they were akin to Pol Pot. Basically what Democrats have been saying for years at this point. So when you look at one side openly cheering for a death, we have elected Democrat officials. There was a judge that was laughing about it and saying it was karma. There's people saying we shouldn't celebrate him like Martin Luther King because he said racist and sexist and homophobic things and blah, blah, blah. Like when you look at that and then you look at this group text from completely unelected private citizens having fun, there's almost no comparison, and it shoots them in the foot because their strategy right now, the Democratic Party is not set to lead in anything. They're losing in crime, immigration, foreign conflicts, U.S. economy, gun control, political extremism, representing democracy, corruption. The only thing that they have, things that they have are healthcare and women's rights, which is abortion. are the only two positions that they're actually winning with. So their message to unite the coalition is Orange Man Bad, as we've seen since 2016. That Orange Man Bad is what unites all these people under one banner. And it just falls on deaf ears when they're out there being significantly more evil all the time.
And to build off that too, like we can see it in real time. Like 4 days ago, Ro Khanna, my representative, this is what annoys me so much, is that Jay Jones, in his very violent rhetoric, was shut down by the person that he was individually texting, being like, hey, this is making me uncomfortable, like why would you say these things, like and he doubles down on it, basically saying, yeah, I've told you this before, like when people feel pain personally, they move on policy, like literally wishing that they feel terror so that they move on policy. It was what his, like, this wasn't a group chat either of like being edgy and like being like friendly with like comrades or with like fellow like people you work with or people that you go have beers with. Like this was like a direct message explaining his thoughts. And the fact that Ro Khanna, and I sent these to Sadie for her to bring them up, is saying on October 14th about the Republican group chat, basically JD Vance is being like, this was like a bunch of college kids pearl clutching, and we ignore when powerful people like Jay Jones call for political violence, and Ro Khanna is saying, why can't we denounce both? And then today, 22 hours ago, he's retweeting something that literally just happened, and similarly to a Democrat who's running for office, is that he's like a 37-year-old guy who's like a veteran, and his Reddit was leaked. His like Reddit comments that he had even deleted were leaked, and he comes out with like a 4-minute statement kind of explaining respectfully and as an adult kind of like the situation. And Ro Khanna is literally going back on like he is just having a double standard for Republicans, and just you're in my face 4 days, like within 4 days of each other. He stands by his endorsement, but he says that we should condemn the Republicans. It's just crazy. But he does sum up what we're getting at, which is that we should all reject the politics of personal destruction when someone who you are in contact with leaks a chat. Like that person who leaked it should be the most, like, snitches get stitches. Like, they should be the most to blame, not the people who were making edgy comments. Like, maybe if they're going out as, like, a crazy person, because I've had some kind of, like, crazy people come by and say some real racist stuff or some real sexist stuff. Like, maybe that kind of situation, if, like, you're in a job or in a position and you're getting drunk and walking by complete strangers, that's not the same as coming online or coming onto a group chat. So if it's personal destruction, we should just ignore it, condemn the person who leaked it.
I just think the misconception being that things that people say in group chats in private means that we can assume they believe it. That's really what the left wants to do here. Is they're saying, oh, you have to cancel these people. You can't align with these people. They can't be on the right with you anymore. You can't stand with them. Just because somebody said I love Hitler in that group chat doesn't mean that I'm going to assume that they mean that. It's a group chat. Like anyone who's been in a group chat understands that. I've been in group chats where the entire purpose of the group chat is to send the most offensive thing you've seen on the internet. Like when you see something that's like so over the top, edgy and offensive, you send that to your friends and it's like, bro, like what is this? Like, this is insane. That's what the humor is. These people have no sense of humor. They're trying to beat us over the head with the principle of freedom of speech, yet right on cue after defending the open mocking and celebration of Charlie Kirk's murder. These people are not principled. They're not motivated by anything good. They're motivated by power, and they're motivated by whatever position is the most convenient for them to hold. So I felt like this was a good timely misconception to go with this week. I was also going to discuss maybe Christopher Columbus, but maybe I'll just tag Michael Knowles' video on that in the description because he covers that pretty well.
Yeah, most of the jokes that I saw that came out of that, compared to like the Chappelle Show, something I grew up on that was on Comedy Central, the jokes weren't even as bad as the Chappelle Show's racial humor. It wasn't anything too crazy for the most part. And again, like when you have one person saying he was joking, he said he was joking, it was dark humor, but he was calling for the death of his political opposition. And when you have that, you just hand wave it off of a person that's running for office that's still completely endorsed by the party. When you have that, you cannot make me give a shit about a bunch of random voters that don't hold any political office that are just sitting around bullshitting. Like, it just doesn't work. If you're not going to hold your politicians accountable to the standard, why should we hold random fucking people accountable to it?
The principle of these people are, oh, we're such principled First Amendment fighters. We think you should be immune from firings because you mock a death. And then, oh, your private group chats, we have to assume that you meant everything you said and then hold it against you for the rest of your life. These people are stupid. If they think that the middle ground voter doesn't recognize this, they're dumb. All right, turning to Tyler.
The retard of the week this week is going to be the group Hamas. Because this week we saw the conclusion to the war start to get its groundwork down. We saw the peace deal accepted. This would be Trump's 8th peace deal now. We're starting to see that, Hamas kind of was always full of shit. So first instance, as soon as the peace deal came out and Hamas agreed to it, they turned around and took a victory lap, saying that their survival shows that they actually won the war. They survived the Israeli-American assault, blah, blah, blah. They turned around and started doing their propaganda. So they attacked Israel, 6-front war backed by Iran, funded by Qatar, trained by Iran in order to wipe out Israel on October 7, 2023. 3 days later, they were crying that Israel was genociding them. Genocide-like actions was the first term coming out of the Gaza Health Ministry. 3 days after they started a war, they started crying genocide. And then as soon as the war ended, the famine just suddenly disappeared, the genocide suddenly disappeared, and they're claiming they won the war now. So they expose themselves to be a bunch of lying retards. The Trump peace deal also is going to knock out pretty much all the lies that Hamas has been spreading, that we hear retards here in the United States repeat uncritically. Israel wants to occupy all that land. Well, Israel's had the right to occupy that land since they won a war in 1950, and they have not. In 2005, they completely withdrew from the area and let them have their own election. So this idea that Israel just wants to take over the land, well, the peace deal that they signed on to and are working toward has them leaving the land. They are no longer going to be occupying it. There's going to be no ethnic cleansing. There's going to be no genocide. Less than 3% of the population has died in over a 2-year war. And half of those are combatants, according to Israel anyways. That being said, all of the lies that Hamas was pushing are now debunked by the fact that Israel is signing on to this peace deal that doesn't get them any of those things that were claimed. Now, Hamas, to their credit, has done great on the PR war. They convinced everybody that there was starvation going on by showing 12 kids now that all had diseases where their bones were protruding, different various things that make you look like that, and saying, look at the starvation. Even in some of those pictures, we had family members of the people that were supposedly starving, and they were healthy, standing right next to them, brothers, sisters, fully fed, and then this one person looks like they're about to fall out. It was always propaganda that's been exposed, and now it's completely gone. Hamas is claiming that they won the war. Israel moving people all around the nation, 1 million at a time, moving them out of harm's way while Hamas was holding them in harm's way at gunpoint. Israel feeding people 200 meals a day while Hamas was saying, if you take that Israeli aid, we will execute you. All these things have been happening the entire time, but they've been winning the PR war. But what that shows you is the PR war doesn't matter, because they completely won it. Majority of several Western nations think that there was actually a genocide going on, and it didn't matter. So some other fun things is when this PR war doesn't matter, what you can see is Iran is completely defeated. So you guys remember a few months back there was that bunker buster strike on the Iranian nuclear facilities, and everyone's like, oh, it only set them back a few months? Well, it's been 4 months since then. Does Iran have nuclear capabilities similar to before the strike? The answer is absolutely not even fucking close. They haven't even dug the rubble out of those facilities yet. They're not even close to being able to reconstruct. So that was yet another lie being pushed by Iran, who is the funding and backing mechanism for Hamas. On top of that, everyone's abandoned Hamas at this point. Qatar, Syria, the Saudis are all signing on to the Abraham Accords to regulate travel and trade with Israel. Everyone else in that region, Egypt, Jordan, have all accepted Israel as a state. Hamas has completely lost, and it's all their own fault. It's a war they started, they got completely bodied, and now they're about to lose the leadership that they had, and nobody besides a bunch of upset leftists that can't win an election are screaming for their name. So it's pretty much over, and these retards took the fattest L I've seen in probably my entire life.
I don't have much to add. I was other than the only thing I was thinking to add was like during this entire 2-3 year stretch that the people who are the most retarded on domestic policy are the most passionate about this Hamas issue. And I think it shows that these people aren't motivated by principle or anything good. They're motivated by power. They think it's something that will give them more power. I've not been a huge foreign policy guy myself, but when I look at the people that are completely out of their mind on domestic policy, I tend to not give them credibility in areas that I don't know much about, and that's one of them.
So yeah, I mean, like, you nailed it. The only thing I would like possibly bring up would be like the history of them being so retarded. Like, they're the most retarded Muslims. They get kicked out of every single other Muslim country. They get denied access to every single other Muslim country. They get just a few. They're like the Kurdistan people in fucking Japan. You just get about 1,000. They want you out. The only smart thing that I would give them credit for, not even I guess the totals would be probably part of this, would be they did infiltrate the UN fairly expertly. They got the UN to fund all of their propaganda and all of their schools, basically, to just reinforce this, like, Jews are the devil, Jews are out to get us, yada yada yada. And I think, yeah, just like it very much is kind of similar to like just being the most retarded faction of your religion.
No, on top of that, 13% of senior educators in the United Nations schooling facilities were Hamas agents, and then a bunch of lower level ones as well. There's estimated to be about 100,000 child soldiers that have been in or working with Hamas or Hamas-affiliated groups in Gaza and the West Bank in the last couple of decades. And UNRWA, like, the hostages that were being freed were saying, we're being stored in UNRWA facilities, we're being stored in UNRWA tents, people wearing UNRWA vests working for the UN were holding us at gunpoint. It's been completely infiltrated to the point where, like, Israel will not allow them into Gaza anymore, and the UN has no desire to clean that up at all or fix it. They won't even admit it's a problem. They're saying they only have evidence of 3 members of UNRWA being part of Hamas or something, like some tiny number like that, where Israel's showing evidence of hundreds. So, yeah, and they've been completely infiltrated. It's that Qatar money. That Qatar money goes, like that Trump plane, that $400 million plane that Trump got from Qatar. Every major university in the United States has fucking 4 of those sitting on their lawn teaching Middle Eastern studies approved by Qatar. Qatar is giving them that funding, saying, open up this wing, teach these classes, and we'll give you this certain amount of money every year. And Harvard's happy to take that and turn around and teach anti-Semitic studies. That's why these movements all spring up on campuses as coordinated as they were.
Go back to your point about leftist violence. You have to understand this is not something new. This is not something that's randomly happening. It happened in China, it happened in Vietnam, it happened in Cuba, which I'm Cuban. So every single time the leftists take over, what do they want? Revolution. To what? Break down the status quo. How do they do that? Not through peace, they do it through revolution. Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, Pol Pot, Mao Zedong, Stalin. Every single time, that's how they do it. And you know who they use? All of you. They use the universities. They use leftists. The authoritarians, the strongmen, convinced the leftists to fight for them. It happened in Iran where the Ayatollah took over. It happened in Cuba with Castro. They get the leftists to disrupt and cause destabilization. Once they take power, they get rid of all of the leftists that help them get in power. Mao Zedong created the Red Guard. When he got in power, he said, all universities canceled. I want you to get my book. It's called the Little Red Book. Put it in your pocket and go around, and if any teacher has spoken out against me, I want you to tell the communist commissar we're going to arrest him and kill them. They did that. The army didn't step in. They allowed the protesters and the revolutionaries to do what they want. You know what Mao did after he got power? He said, I don't need any more destabilization. He sent them out into the fields to work, and 9 million of them died. That's what he's done. The Shah did it, the same thing to the leftists. The leftists are always, we call them the useful idiots. Not all of them, but the ones who are revolutionary. They are used to destabilize. They go after the young people in universities every single time, hundreds and hundreds of years. This is the same thing happening over again. This is not new. What you're experiencing is not new. It's just new to you. It's new to our age.
So after the war ended, what Hamas did was go around and they killed all the collaborators. Anyone that was working with Israel, working with the United States, working with the enemies of Hamas, they were all collaborators. The US-based college groups the one that Khalil was part of, Muhammad Khalil, the guy that's getting deported, were chanting death to the collaborators.
Ceasefire in Gaza is bringing hope, but tension still remains on college campuses. Angela Brown explains.
This post came from the National Chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine, just hours after the killing of Palestinian journalist Saleh al-Jafari. In the social media post, SJP declared death to the occupation, death to collaborators, sparking national media coverage and backlash. Dr. Zachary Marshall, Campus Reform.
One of their social media darlings, agent of Hamas, who was an influencer, was killed in one of the skirmishes, and they're now saying, "We honor all our martyrs. Death to the collaborators."
In the United States, they were so in tune with what Hamas was saying on the ground in Gaza that despite the fact that the media didn't report on this at all, they were chanting in the United States, death to collaborators, death to anyone that worked against Hamas with Israel. All the Gazans that worked with Israel need to die. And that's what these people were chanting that say they care about the Gazans. It's fucking crazy to me.
Yeah, retards can't win except for in rhetoric.
Oh yeah, and they won the rhetorical war and it didn't matter. Like, they've been completely bombarded. Right now, all the allies, all the proxies of Iran, Hezbollah is being forced out of Lebanon. They're being disarmed by the government there. The Houthis are being forced out of Yemen, working with the United States. Both of their leaderships were completely decimated.
Iran slowly is collapsing. Trump was also mentioning how Hamas needs to stop killing collaborators as well, or even like people suspected of being collaborators. It's just crazy.
Yep. So Iran is completely destroyed. All their proxies are getting completely destroyed, and all their allies are switching teams. This October 7th attack will probably indirectly lead to a peaceful Middle East because everyone is just sick of dealing with Iran.
So, for the British cigarette of the week, we have this fucker, Zoran Mamdani, the frontrunner for the New York City mayorship. He was a backwater fucking Democrat in the state, and now he's, going up in the world to run for New York mayor. His parents, being an only child, he just reeks of pretentious factory. And he's not really even American. He immigrated with his family. He is fresh off the boat, literally. His mother is the only reason why he looks good, because she's been doing fucking, movies and shit. And his father's, an African communist academic. So he's got a nice, pedigree of factory. So he previously also, just this picture right here. Just, what does this scream, guys? Thank you. So he used to be a rapper. I sent a couple of pictures to Sadie. She can scroll through them. This isn't a real couple. That's a beard. Those are gay best friends. I've been around theater people long enough to know those are gay best friends. So what prompted also me to do this? Not anything to do with the fact that he wants to just tax rich and white neighborhoods who are voting for him too, because they are just filled with white guilt and are faggots themselves, so they need one to represent them. The video, and this is basically where I really just wanted to nightcap us off with. Just play it.
Have you ever purchased anything in a cannabis shop? And if so, what did you buy, Mr. Mamdani?
I have. I have purchased marijuana at a legal cannabis shop.
Okay. Mr. Cuomo?
No.
Mr. Sliwa?
All right, look at that. Cuomo, simple no. You could have just gone with the simple yes, of course. I'm a millennial. Could have, but no, he's yeah, of course I purchased it at a legal marijuana store. Cuomo with his old fat ass fucking going with no, I kill people. I kill old ladies. So of course I don't participate in that. I'll have a nice cigar and a whiskey, but that's it. You could have just been cool. You could have been cool. Cuomo, all right, but he's not really a factor. But Silwa. Mr. Silwa.
Mr. Sliwa?
When I was shot 5 times, I've had Crohn's disease. I did use medical marijuana. Yes.
Both of the fellow guys beside him are cool about it. They're just they say their piece and they're cool about it. But he's just such a gay theater kid. He's such just I've been surrounded by them my entire life. I love them. I appreciate them doing entertainment and improv and plays and keeping Shakespeare alive. But keep your factory in the theater where it belongs and don't enter politics. It's unbecoming of a theater person to enter politics, honestly. You're dirtying up our stage. All right? Not cool. Not cool at all. So, that's the fact of this week.
I was just gonna say the dude, like, I guess he went up on stage and just denied the past. Like he said in the past, globalize the Intifada, which is like the Intifada was armed attacks against Israel where they're killing Israelis.
About the term globalize the Intifada, if it makes you uncomfortable. In that moment, you did not condemn the phrase. Now, just so folks understand, it's a phrase that many people hear as a call to violence against Jews. There's been a lot of attention on this issue, so I want to give you an opportunity to respond here and now. Do you condemn that phrase, globalize the Intifada?
That's not language that I use. The language that I use and the language that I will continue to use to lead this city is that which speaks clearly to my intent, which is an intent grounded in a belief in universal human rights. And ultimately, that's what is the foundation of so much of my politics, the belief that freedom and justice and safety are things that, to have meaning, have to be applied to all people, and that includes Israelis and Palestinians alike.
But do you actually condemn it? I think that's the question and the outstanding issue that a number of people, both of the Jewish faith and beyond, have. Do you condemn that phase, globalize the Intifada, which a lot of people hear as a call to violence against Jews?
I've heard from many Jewish New Yorkers who have shared their concerns with me, especially in light of the horrific attacks that we saw in Washington, D.C. and in Boulder, Colorado, about this moment of anti-Semitism in our country and in our city. And I've heard those fears and I've had those conversations, and ultimately they are part and parcel of why in my campaign I've put forward a commitment to increase funding for anti-hate crime programming by 800%.
Very quickly, for the people who care about the language and who feel really concerned by that phrase, why not just condemn it?
My concern is to start to walk down the line of language and making clear what language I believe is permissible or impermissible takes me into a place similar to that of the president, who is looking to do those very kinds of things, putting people in jail for writing an op-ed, putting them in jail for protesting. Ultimately, it's not language that I use. It's language I understand there are concerns about. And what I will do is showcase my vision for the city through my words and my actions.
He's talked about defunding the police. He denied saying that, making prostitution decent to criminalize sex work in the past, and said he never said that. So he basically went on stage and lied about his entire record, and I think that's going to hurt him. At the end of the day, if you look at the polling, he only has about a 45% approval rating in, well, like the vote tally. So if you consolidate the vote against him, he can still lose. Yep. But it looks like Sleva and Cuomo are going at each other for that in a way that's probably going to hurt them more than help. They were on each other more that debate than anything.
And this goes actually, a part of the reason also why I wanted to do Memdani is because of what we talked about, Pentuple, which is that, like, and also the video of, maybe I could find it, of Hassan watching one of his answers of him just lying straight to the moderator and to the camera. Hassan was like giggling about it. Oh yeah, it was about Hassan too. He was condemning Hassan for his 9/11 comments.
Genocide. And I find the comments that Hassan made on 9/11 to be objectionable and reprehensible. And I also think that part of the reason why Democrats are in the situation that we are in, of being a permanent minority in this country, is we are looking only to speak to journalists.
He's just lying. He's just lying to everybody's face. When get him 3 martinis in, start flirting with him if you're a cute boy like Scott Pressler, and maybe he'll start screaming about how, yeah, we should actually tax white people. We should have a white guilt tax, and that should fund reparations. And, like, I don't even want to touch that with a 10-foot pole, which is why theater faggots should stay the fuck away from politics and stay on stage or on a movie. Get the fuck out of politics.
Yeah, and I'll give a quick shout out to Gen Z Attorney, who I don't know very well, but he made the same point that I was thinking, where when he denounced Hassan started laughing. And it shows that these people are essentially willing to say whatever it takes. They know that they don't mean it. Hassan knows that it doesn't matter that he's denouncing him, that he's only doing it to get political points. It's very telling that these people try to beat us over the head with our own principles. and this is a little bit separate from Adami, but it's like the same people who 10 years ago were saying the Constitution's outdated now think that we're going to take them seriously when they go out and their biggest, most passionate issue is defending the Constitution. I'm old enough to remember when they were arguing that the Constitution was outdated and that they were actually the side that didn't respect the Constitution. It was written by slave owners. It was written for white people. Those were the arguments 10 years ago. And now they're coming out and they're ardently defending all of our rights, our freedoms, due process, the Constitution. It's not based in principle. It's based in power and convenience, and it's disgusting. And the left is garbage and deserves defeat.
Until they start acting fucking sane again. Yes, they need to continuously lose until the party exercises its right to kick out all of the leftist progressives and return to adult politics. Because, like, we'll all benefit if there's a Democrat Party that you guys could reasonably vote for. If you have competition, good competition, it makes both parties better. But when one of them is this far out of reality, they need to lose until they stop.
Shout out to Sadie for editing. Give us a follow, whether you're watching on my channel, his channel, or his channel. All of the links are in the descriptions of all of our channels because we all post these episodes. So thank you for watching wherever you came from, and we'll see you. Oh, I fucked it up. Thank you for watching the weekly podcast of the week.
It's time for the weekly podcast of the week. Every week